Hello, Shalom Aleichem. We're here to do the Masechta of Avot. Avot is the ninth tractate of the Seder Zikin, the Seder of Torts in the Mishnah. And the Zikin is the fourth Seder, or the fourth order of the Mishnah. This Masechta, this tractate of Avot, or Avos in the Ashkenazis, which I will probably use for the rest of this video. This Masechta of Avos is sometimes referred to as Pirkei Avos, which means chapters of the fathers. Sometimes in English it's also called Ethics of the Fathers, largely because the lion's share of the Mishnayos, of the material here, is of an ethical nature. Okay, there is no Gemara connected to these Mishnayos. Now, the Gemara again is the literature, the statements of those rabbis that comes in the post-Talmudic period, the post-Mishnaic period. And they largely are going to be talking about the Mishnah and expounding and arguing various positions in the Mishnah. Okay, so the Gemara and the Mishnah combined make up what is called the Talmud. Okay, so there is an extension, however, of Avos. It's an enlargement. It's called the Avos de Rebbe Nassan. The Avos de Rebbe Nassan, sometimes called the Ethics of Rabbi Nathan, or the chapters of Rabbi Nathan. It is essentially Pirkei Avos with a lot of extra material added into it and discussing, and it also discusses the Avos material. Okay, this tractate originally was 5 chapters. In the post-Mishnaic period, there was a 6th chapter added from what's called the Brisa material. A Brisa is a rabbinic statement from Tana. Tana is a teacher, an authoritative rabbinic teacher up to the time of the Mishnah. So those rabbis quoted in the Mishnah are Tanaim, and not everything that they said obviously found its way into the Mishnah. So a lot of statements, both legal and ethical and otherwise, were collected into various collections. One of them is called the Tosefta. Certainly this 6th chapter of Avos is also a collection of Brisa material, largely dealing with ethical matters and also matters related to sort of the idea of learning Torah, how to acquire Torah. So the 6th chapter we were just talking about is sometimes called Perek Kinyan Torah, the chapter dealing with the acquisition of Torah, how one acquires Torah, wisdom, or sometimes it's called the Brisa de Rebbe Meir, because Rebbe Meir is the first speaker in the chapter. So Avos is in most Siddurim, most traditional Jewish prayer books. It is, in some circles, read between Mincha and Ma'ariv, the afternoon prayers, and on Saturday afternoon, and the evening prayers on the evening of Motzoi Shabbos, the Saturday night, after the Sabbath is over. In many circles, they're traditionally read during that period. It's also customary to study Avos, in particular during the summer months. My personal custom is to study both on the Shabbosim, the Shabbosos between Pesach and Shavuos, Passover and Shavuot, and also on the weeks leading up to Rosh Hashanah, largely because of the ethical teachings and the fact that the summer gives us more time to spend outside and potentially carousing. We sort of need some moral correction during the time that we're most likely to go astray. Okay, without further discussion, let's go into the first Mishnah itself. Okay, Pirkei Avos, chapter 1 of Avos. Aleph, Mishnah 1. Moshe kibel Torah misinai. Moses, received kibel Torah misinai. He received the Torah from Sinai, from Mount Sinai, Har Sinai. Umsara liYoshua, and he gave it over to Joshua, Yoshua leZikanim, and Yoshua gave it over to the Zikanim, the elders, Uzchanim leNevim, and the elders, the Zikanim, gave it over to the Nevim, the prophets. Nevim, and the prophets, Masruha, gave it over la'anshe Knesset Hagadola, to the men of the great assembly, sort of like the proto rabbis. These were the leading ruling body of priests and scholars and the like, who came out of Babylon at the end of the Babylonian exile, and were busy with reestablishing the Jewish state and Jerusalem. Hem Omru Shlosha Devarim. They would say Shlosha Devarim, 3 things. Havu Musunim Badin. You should be deliberate in din, in judgment. So obviously, since they were judges, they're speaking to other judges. But this Eitzah, this advice, also bears out in everyday matters. That we should be decisive in our and deliberate in our matters of law. V'hamidu samidim harbe, and you should, from the shorish amad, stand up. You should establish samidim harbe, lots of students. One, sort of the each one teach one or more approach. If you know something, if you're able to teach, then you should teach more. So obviously, speaking to scholars should go out and try to make more students so that we can raise the level of education and knowledge in the world. And finally, va'asu sayag l'Torah, and you should make a sayag, a fence, a gather, a protective barrier for the Torah. Meaning that to what extent you can prevent somebody from breaking the Torah, you should produce law or on yourself, obviously, but also as a community, you should produce customs and legal rulings that will remove people far from breaking the halacha, breaking the Torah. For example, the Sabbath. The Sabbath, it is well known that in most circles they will begin the restrictions on Sabbath labor at least 18 minutes, and in some communities 30 minutes before the onset of the Sabbath. That is because, especially in those days when we did not have proper clocks, it was hard to tell when the Sabbath actually started. But today, even so, we still do it because we want to make sure that the Sabbath preparations are in place, and that, God forbid, nobody should accidentally break the Sabbath by running up against the clock. So one of these barriers, one of these protective fences around the Torah is that one should cease with the forbidden labor before the Sabbath at 18 minutes. Okay, so in the next video we will do the next Mishnah. I hope this has been good, and I hope to see you next time. Kol Tuv, Hatzlacha Rabbah.